It's a deep honor for us to invite the next guest to the stage. Reverend Dr. Q English serves as the Director of Center for Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships at the U.S. Department of Health, the U.S. Department of Health of Human Services, and works closely with the White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. Without further ado, Reverend Dr. Q English.
At your 15th Annual Muslim Health Conference, it has been a pleasure working with Dr. Mbasi and others to address the challenges that exist around mental health and mental illness, particularly around stigma. And so at the Partnership Center, we have 5 core initiatives. One is that of maternal health, mental health, particular emphasis with youth mental health, suicide prevention, substance use disorder, inclusive of overdose prevention, and our ongoing work around vaccinations and boosters and the like. And while we know mental health is a challenge for all populations, let me zero our focus in our future, our youth. And as we're here today, we're discussing our Muslim youth, youth of color, and female youth. The State of Mental Health for Youth in 2022 from the ACOMA Project mentioned that 42% of youth reported exposure to at least one form of race-based trauma. And at least half of youth of color in this sample reported experiencing moderate to severe depression or anxiety. And it's important for us to recognize that even as we're putting these toolkits out there, we need intentional partners. And it's important for us to recognize that even as faith leaders, those that are in this room that are fellow faith leaders, that clergy walk alongside rather than instead of mental health professionals. Because we're all called to serve, but not all are trained to treat. And that's why it's so important for mental health professionals to work together, side by side, with imams and other leaders from the mosque who can connect people to care that helps them not just be well, but to thrive, even in the midst of adversity they may face. And so we work together to assure that it was fair and that we had the right representation, that it was culturally relevant to the population. So it was the first one that's been ever created by the Partnership Center and by the White House administration as a whole. And so we are so excited about pulling that together, and it has already helped so many people. So thank you for your partnership. So through these videos and the voices highlighted, Health and Human Services is breaking down the cultural barriers that keep some communities from connecting to help in times of crisis. And as I mentioned, I want you to avail yourselves to our Youth Mental Health Toolkit. It's called Youth Mental Health and Well-Being in Faith and Community Settings, and it builds the capacity of faith and community leaders to address mental health of youth. And through the toolkit, faith and community leaders learn about the increase of mental health challenges by youth and ensures these leaders know how to connect youth in crisis to care and support. It also encourages these leaders to consider the unique cultural and social factors impacting youth well-being. Next, we are excited to be working with the National Action Alliance for Suicide Prevention on a guide for faith leaders on addressing suicide prevention in the community. It's a youth suicide prevention guide for faith leaders. And most recently, we worked with partners to identify Muslim youth who could speak to their story of struggling with suicidal thoughts so that their voice of lived experience could be incorporated into the toolkit. Nearly 1 in 5 adults in the U.S., approximately 20% of the population, lives with a mental illness of some kind, and yet in spite of the prevalence, there remains a pervasive stigma around mental illness in many modern cultures, and it takes a variety of different forms, from negative attitudes to differential treatment to outright discrimination. And in my community, one study showed that 63% of Black people believe that a mental health condition is a sign of personal weakness. And as a result, people may experience shame about having a mental illness and worry that they may be discriminated against due to their condition. Fear also could prevent people from seeking mental health care when they really need it. So we have to talk about it. And we have to be intentional and not ashamed to talk about it with our youth. And we have to become better listeners for our youth. We don't have all the answers, but we can listen. And even in the places where we can't help, we can point them to help. So we need partnerships because we all need to talk about mental health to reduce the stigma and fear about talking about mental health in our communities. We need partnerships because the need is great. And the need is great for people we love and want them to remember that they are always loved no matter what they are going through. Always loved no matter what they are going through. Because I wonder if we could have changed the narrative of even my own nephew who committed suicide while his 10-year-old watched him at 14 years old. I wonder if all of that could have changed if we thought differently in this space. Lastly, as we do this work together, and as we work today, I want to make sure that we as leaders don't neglect the important work, hear me clearly, of taking care of ourselves as we take care of others. So when you need help, don't be afraid to reach out to others. Sometimes it's just about taking a walk, accepting another person's offer to help, taking care of your body and your spirit. Set boundaries around your work and personal lives. No does exist in our vocabulary. Nourish friendships and mutual relationships. And last but not least, accept the things that are out of your control, the things that you cannot change. And so we're in this together, and know that the administration is committed to continue this critical work until not another youth is lost. Again, thank you, Dr. Abbasi, for inviting me here tonight, and congratulations for the work that you continue to do on the front lines. And I look forward to continuing this work with you until justice has cried her last tear. God bless.
So at this time, I'm going to invite Shabazz Khan to carry us through a memoriam of the people that we have recently lost in our community. I'd like to invite to the stage somebody I've known for quite some time. This brother has compelled local audiences for many years with his art. He's a multi-talented artist, a creative, a musician, a writer, a filmmaker, and we still have to make that song together soon. Without further ado, Brother Omar Abu Rashid.
For years I was a rock, proudly the one leaned on, but when it came to my own health, I was often withdrawn. Carrying smiles, looking strong, while burying scars, writing bars until I was behind bars, sparrow mental, also known as a psych ward. How and why could you betray me, my mind? Now in the midst of a white room, force-fed humble pie, trying to separate and recognize the truth from the lies, accountable for pride, thinking never I, pushing aside real parts about life just because it's so stigmatized. Yo, Doc, I'm not weak. I'm a believer. I pray every day. So before you feed me these pills, will you please let me explain at least some of my story, my background, my faith, my traumas, my fears, the songs my heart sings? Okay, I know maybe I'm a bit crazy, so don't mind me, but what is crazy anyway when everything's a little off kilter? Doesn't our world today value likes over love and horoscopes over scripture? We think salary means character and it's normal to put a filter over everything natural, even every real picture. But maybe I'm just a bit crazy, so remember, please don't mind me. But also, isn't it a little crazy how Moses split the seas? Wasn't Michael Jordan a little bit crazy to believe? Why is Mamba Mentality one of the #1 books to read? Now that I think about it, Muhammad Ali was a little crazy, confident in his speech. Matter of fact, remember MLK and his crazy dream of living in a world of peace where a man is judged by his character and deeds rather than his color, creed, or the popularity of his feed? But remember, I'm maybe just a bit crazy, so please don't mind me. But if you'd let me continue, what if I'm also maybe a product of my environment or genes? Like some of the habits I may have picked up in my teens. Wait, what's OCD? Me? ADHD? No. I don't. Wait, have you ever thought about an EKG? I mean, they're literally checking my heart's electricity. That's energy. So while we're at it, if we're gonna talk about paranoia and anxiety, let's talk about all the screens, satellites, Bluetooth, infrared, AI, and 5G, and advertisements that constantly remind me that somebody's eyes are on me. All the deep fakes, I don't know what's pretending to be, who's really a celebrity, or if it's a human or robot texting me. Behind that avatar identity, positive vibes, please, only, and empathy. Boy, while we're at it, please, the next thing I'm about to say, please don't cancel or censor me. I only say it because it truly, truly does not make sense to me. Why is a top priority whether someone is called they, he, or she while police brutality re-airs on TV and we're still getting shadow banned for saying Palestine should be free? Okay, Omar, you're acting a little aggressive and paranoid. I need you to calm down, and you're right, maybe I'm just a bit crazy, so remember, just don't mind me. But at one point in time, my devices were all hacked and blackmail threats and notices that if I didn't shut up and keep posed with all my commotion, nude videos of me would start exploding. So I promise you, Doc, this is not psychosis. It makes more sense when I think about it now. Intrusive thoughts and suffocating clouds, judges and whispers I hear that aren't spoken in sound. See, I think we often forget sometimes silence is real loud. Like our silent wars that sometimes go on inside. Voices that love when I'm down but hate when I rise. Intrusive thoughts, snakes, rats, dementors, and the like. I can feel your energy from 2 planets away. So let's stop pretending we don't know about vibes. Oh no, you're right. I'm just gonna write some notes or maybe make a song, maybe smoke a couple joints to ignore what's going on. Oh, and please don't judge, because remember, I die and I'm reborn 5 times daily with each Adhan. So okay, Omar, let's try visualizing this trauma. Can you please paint me a picture? Okay guys, so sometimes I feel like a gorilla in a cage, surrounded by an array of people forever pounding on a glass that won't ever break, while others continuously poke at my wounds, hoping one day they'll bring back out my rage so they can snap a picture then say, see, this gorilla's insane. Well, hey, Omar, no one's perfect, just try to give love every day. I do, Doc, but I deserve better than breadcrumbs of hate. Or mind games and shame. I've already been through hells and had to face jinns and devils till I saw angels and saints. Had to swim through oceans and waves just to hold to my faith. So if one more person disrespects me, I swear I might. Okay, now let's try compassion and grace. It's okay to let it out. Honestly, I just need love and I'm sick of grudges and tears. All of it made me hate who I am. I swear I started punching my mirrors. They copied and dismissed my love, all of my work, all those years. It even made me forget the love I do have, those who wiped away my tears and were there to remind me my past does not define me. To continue to live and see from the heart rather than to live blindly. To let them talk all they want because God knows what I've done. So please, I'll just let the time speak. Okay, Omar, I think maybe you weren't hurt as a child. There's probably some deeper reasons and roots to your wild. I think we should just take a break for a while. Remember to breathe, and if you need, here's a number to dial. Because remember, therapy is a tool, but not the solution. You have to do the inner work without the excuses. Have to lean into what really hurts to remove the doubts and confusion, separate what's out of your control versus the life that you're choosing. So I want you to sit with everything for as long as you need and write out what you've learned or taken away. We're almost done, I promise, okay? I've got 5 quick notes to take away. Note number 1. Anytime darkness creeps and that monster feeds on all your fears and griefs and won't let you sleep, remember all of his names to find your peace, and best believe that's seriously all that you need. Note number 2. Mental health is a combination of parts and not just in a pill. There's also spiritual, emotional, psychological, and physical traumas and ills. Remember to slow down and breathe one thing at a time. Each day gets brighter and each moment more real. It takes time to adjust to reteaching our hearts how to feel. Note number 3. Remember, under a microscope, a blade of grass has a whole world within. So before assessing, be patient to understand what world they're in. This is for medical professionals who I love, and it's just something I thought important to share. My last two, number 4 is, remember it's not the end if it's not okay. If you're still here today, you're doing great. And number 5, I had to lose my shine to see my dark. I had to lose my mind to hear my heart. I had to lose my pride just to make and share this art. But if one line helps anyone, it's worth every pain and rude remark. And I remember, and I hope you remember, you're stronger than you think, so don't forget. Remember, God only makes changes when we change within. So if you're suffering in silence, turn to Him, or at least a friend. To anyone out there, I love you, and if you need it, let your healing begin. Thank you.